This is a compliment to Cooper Flagg, the guy that did the dunking there, posterizing a player from Pitt. I think that would be a dunk of any of our lifetimes. I don't think that's going to end up the dunk of Cooper Flagg's lifetime.
Yeah, he's too young.
Which just, there are some unbelievable catches that don't make, like, Calvin Johnson's top 10 catches of his career. Like, for us, how could anything be better than dunking on a big man, full court sprint, just screaming and all that kind of stuff? And then it's like, oh, wait a second. He did a spin move two-handed monster jam like 10 minutes later. It's a completely different beast for that guy. And Duke may end up being a completely different beast than even we thought. Yesterday, we described the game, right, as the way the ACC had shaken out to that point, to last night, was Duke, gap, Clemson, Pitt, gap, everybody else. After last night, Duke, big gap, everybody else. Because Clemson lost and Pitt got absolutely worked by Duke.
Yeah, Clemson lost to Louisville.
So I guess maybe you could inch Louisville up to the top of that everybody else group, but it's a distance between Duke and everybody else. The way they've played this year, that's just observing the facts. Duke beat Pitt 76-47. 47 points allowed is insane.
And Pitt didn't score the last 7:59 of the game.
That's, we talk about Jon Scheyer learning, still a young coach, still in his 30s, hasn't yet coached even 5 years as a head coach. Back-to-back turnovers for Duke. Calls a timeout. From that point forward, as he said, it was 8 minutes left essentially. From that point on, 18 zippy run to end the game. 18-0. They don't give up a bucket for the last 8 minutes coming out of that timeout. It's well played. Duke's defense led the way. We went into it's almost funny because, in previewing the game yesterday, what did we have to do? I talked about what Pitt's been doing well. They have this two-headed monster of scorers. They have Ish Leggett or Leggett. I keep wanting to pronounce him like Xavier Leggett. Ish Leggett and Jalen Lowe. They have these two scorers. They're each averaging, 17 and change. Comes out to a little over 34 points per game combined. They scored 12 last night combined. And it took them 27 shots to get those 12 points. Lowe went 3 for 12 for 8 points, and Leggett was 2 for 15 for 4 points. Those were guys averaging over 17 points per game. Like, they're not bad scorers that took a lot of shots. They're good scorers that Duke turned into bad scorers. They had two guys averaging a little over 34 per game. The team scored 47. The gap between Duke and everybody else in the conference, the way they've played, not projections, not saying, they have these high recruiting rankings and they're gonna be, they should be. The product they've put on the floor is gonna be difficult to navigate for everybody. Duke. This comes from their Duke stats, the Twitter official Twitter stats, whatever of Duke. Duke has won its first 5 ACC games by double digits. That's the first time they've done that since the 1998-99 season. Their average margin of victory in those 5 games, their first 5 conference games, is 23.2. It's the first time they've won them all by double digits since 99, and they're doing it by an average of 23.2 points. And every game has a different story. The last 8 minutes they didn't score. In this one, it was Evans off the bench. In this one, it was whatever. How do you judge Duke in for an example? Right, we saw a couple teams in the SEC that were at the top of the rankings lose. Right, Kentucky loses, Tennessee loses. Both of them kind of get worked in different ways. But they're playing other top 25. They're playing other really good teams to test themselves and get jabbed and have to pick themselves up off the mat. If they lose a game, it's usually because they played another team that was worthy of winning. The way the ACC is set up this year, unless UNC really solved everything that was ailing them in that SMU game, or NC State goes on one of those special runs like they did last year, or Louisville or Clemson or somebody puts it all together, Duke's not going to play another top 25 team until the NCAA tournament. Think about how crazy that is. The story of last night, at least in part, was Cooper Flagg's dunk, and Jon Scheyer talked about how it got everybody going.
It reminded me of like a Zion kind of play. That's what it reminded me of because of how it sparked Cameron. I've not me myself, but we've had a few guys through the years to make a couple plays that just spark everybody in the building, and that was one of those moments tonight.
Yeah, let's not compare it to a Zion dunk. Maybe the reaction. Zion dunks were of a one of one.
Well, that's what he's comparing it to, the reaction, the way he got everyone in a frenzy.
I don't know. It's just, you say, it was like a Vince Carter dunk. I'm not going to go like, oh, did the crowd get excited? I'm going to expect something, there's certain different breeds there.
We could split hairs.
We could. But no, it was, we're going to talk about Flagg a little bit later on, more specifically. But do you know what's the most impressive part about Flagg is he doesn't have to score 28 to obviously be the best player on the floor. Right? He didn't score an insane amount of points last night. He didn't control the usage. Con Knippel got him started scoring, and then they were ahead by so much it didn't really feel like anybody was pressing for anything. But he's there. He's making plays. His presence is felt. He's controlling the action. Scheyer calls it a controlled aggression.
He does get angry. But he's so he's loose at the same time. He loves being in the moment, being in the arena. But he's got an edge to him now. Like it can go quick, and I think we saw that tonight. He was pissed at himself for the second foul, and then all of a sudden he picks up his third, and it just got him going.
It's do you know what actually was maybe the most impressive part of the dunk? The way that after the dunk, what was it? Graham Diaz was the guy he dunked on, one of the twins. Dunks on him, and then just the way that he came off the rim and Diaz kind of walked away, they end up like chest to chest right after the dunk. Now imagine, I give both of them credit here. In Cameron, it's a Zion dunk level of energy in the room, according to Scheyer, right? He's up in the air. If you go look at the pictures of Cooper Flagg dunking, his face, it looks like a gargoyle. He's like just angry as he's dunking it. Hits the ground. They're chest to chest. One shove, one scream, one taunt, one anything. Refs are waiting. They want to blow that whistle, right? Because they can sense the powder keg taking place also. Despite being controlled aggression, despite all of the aggression, is controlled aggression. They managed to make it out of there without any issues. The rest of the year, I should say, Duke will get better. I'm not sure we're going to know it. They're young, bunch of freshmen. They're going to continue working. Jon Scheyer has to decide how to use the next 2 months. What does he work on? What does he challenge his team to do? The effort they put on the floor last night against Pitt, I'm not sure they lose another game if they put that same effort out every game. So what do they work on? What do they get better? I will say this. There is no reason for Duke to run a 6-man rotation or a 6.5-man rotation once they get in the postseason, because they have 2 months to get more players ready to play. 2 months to do whatever you need to do to get Isaiah Evans ready to play, or to get 8-9 guys ready to roll. That way you can be the freshest team in the tourney. You can be able to withstand injuries. If you remember what happened last year, they essentially worked their way down to a 6-man rotation. Then Caleb Foster got hurt, and it was like, oh, yeah, 5-man, that's not even called a rotation. That's just a 5-man stagnant. So they had to TJ Power and put it together with duct tape and gum. There's no excuse for that this year, because you have 2 months to polish and figure out what you want to get better at.